Hi, I'm Rebecca and welcome to a festive special of the Creabea Knitting Podcast. Hello and welcome. My name is Rebecca. I am a knitter, knitwear designer, podcaster by night, I guess, and I'm based in Edinburgh in Scotland, and this is a podcast or a vlog all about knitting, what I've been knitting, what I'm currently knitting and what I'd like to cast on in the near future. And usually there's some yarny goodness, and today I do have some acquisitions to show. Happy Christmas Eve for those who celebrate Christmas, which I do. It's been a busy morning. I was getting the last of my Christmas shopping ready. I have a big family to shop for. I have 6 siblings and 2 sets of parents, so lots of shopping to do. But I'm home and I'm organised. I'm going to do a bit of filming and I'm very excited. So I hope you're in the festive spirit, whether your holidays have already started or whether they're starting soon. And this is going to be a very bog standard podcast style video. Finished objects, work in progress, and some acquisitions. What have I got today? I've got a finished object to show, which I'm wearing, but we'll get into that in a second. I've got some gift knitting to show and some advent knitting, and then I'm going to wrap up with some acquisitions, of which I have quite a few. It has been a while since I had acquisitions to show, and I'm making up for all that time by having a obscene amount of knitting today. So let's get started with what I'm wearing, but I have just had a mishap with it. So I'll show you first and then I'll get into the mishap, and it's so stupid because I could have just stopped this from happening, but I was too lazy. So what I'm wearing is one of my very own designs, very exciting. This is the Lanark, why did I say that weird? The Lanark Sweater, which is a top down 3/4 length zip sweater with this all over half fisherman's rib or half brioche, depending on how you knit it. It's got a drop shoulder, so it's like a really relaxed fit. It's got this nice double chunky collar, and I'll put a video in of me standing up and wearing it because I'm not going to get up right now because I've got myself into a comfy spot and I'm going to stay here. It's got this really interesting facing. I'm knocking the camera. So the zip is all concealed and it's all done. I made this in, sorry, I go back to my comfy space. I made this in Bare Naked Wool's Kent DK in the colourway Kelp, which they sent to me for the sweater. And it is so luscious and so soft. I just feel super cozy in this. I think it's been a real win, this project. Like, I'm very proud of how it's turned out. And it is by far the most like technically challenging thing I've done in terms of designing. It's not particularly difficult to knit, to be honest. But yeah, it took some figuring out. It took a lot of figuring out to work out like this seam and how to make the stitches go in the right way, and then how to sort of work this front panel. There were a couple of pieces that just required a bit of thought. So the big news is that the tester call for this pattern is alive, and you will find it down below in the show more box. The pattern is due to come out at the end of February, so I think it is like a 9 and a bit week test call. The plan is that the form will stay open until I think the 27th, and I will let everyone know on the 27th or the 28th, depending how busy my festive period is, whether they have been successfully chosen for the testnet. I will email everyone even if you've not been chosen. I usually have 2 people per size, sorry, 3 per size, and I think there are 10 sizes. It's a fully inclusive pattern. It's just a case of whether or not they're like it's the same size range as always. I'm just not sure what the increments are. And I'm really excited to see some more tester versions out in the world. It is a DK weight pattern. It didn't use crazy amounts of yarn. My version, which is a size, is 117 centimeters finished bust. It used 500 grams of yarn, of DK weight yarn, which is like not an obscene amount, I don't think. It's about 1250-ish meters, which for all over sort of squishy rib, I think is pretty good amount of yarn. And yeah, did I cover everything there? In terms of the like techniques used, because I always get asked, oh, is it beginner friendly and things like that. Let me just have a think about the technique. So there's Judy's Magic Cast On, which I had never done until this design. It's pretty easy, it's just something new. All over half fisherman's rib, working flat and working in the round. Picking up stitches, short rows. I think that's it. And like folding over the cuff, the neck is folded over, and like you knit 2 stitches together. So yeah, not crazy amount of like crazy complicated things, and like it's definitely, I think if you're an adventurous beginner, you've knit a couple of sweaters, you're comfortable with, say, with like a drop shoulder construction, I think this would be a really, really good pattern to like level up and try the next thing. And the zipping part is by far the easiest. Like that is the bit that I left at the very end. I'd written the whole pattern, it was all ready to go, and the last thing I had to do was sew the zip in. Now something really stupid happened as I sat down to film and I pulled the zipper tab off. I just pulled it right off the top. I trimmed the zip down, which I knew would mean that the top was a bit more vulnerable. My plan was to sew that so that I couldn't pull the zip off, and I just forgot to do it. Because I was so excited that it was finished and trying it on. And so I went to zip it up. I sat down, started filming, went to show the zip of it up, and just pulled the zipper right off the top of it. I can fix this, but I'm aware that the light is going, and so I would rather film now and come back and finish it later, so you're gonna have to see it without the zip on, which just feels a bit silly to be honest, but accidents happen, and very worst case, if I can't fix it, I can just cut the zip back out and sew a new one in. But fortunately I took the pattern pictures before I messed it up. I'm just so annoyed at myself for that, because part of me I pulled it off and I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? So yeah, please excuse me being an idiot and pulling off the zipper tab. And I will include notes in the pattern about how to make sure you don't do that in your own version, because that was just really stupid of me. So yeah, it's a Lanark sweater. I think I've had a lot of people message and ask about test knitting it for men, and it's been graded to a woman's size chart. That like generally there are standard sizes for women and standard sizes for men. So I think what I'm going to do is include the recommended cross back and the recommended chest size in the tester form, so that if you're applying to test it for a guy, someone who's got a more masculine figure, what you could do is measure up against those measurements to make sure you pick the right size. And I think the only difference is that I think the armhole will have to be slightly deeper for men. But I've got all the details, so like I'll select people, and then for those who have decided to test it for a guy or for a men's body, what I can do is give the bicep measurement and then very clear instructions. The good thing with drop shoulder designs is it's very, very easy to extend that armhole, because you literally just knit this bit longer, which is really easy. So that's nice. So yeah, I am so pleased, with the exception of the fact that I just pulled the zipper tab off. This is the cleanest and smartest and most interesting construction I've ever done. I just think it's so cool. I'm so proud of myself. Last night so this week, as of yesterday, my partner and I are both on holiday for the festive break. I think we're off until January, and my partner got a promotion this week, and so there's been this like bottle of fancy sparkling wine that we've had our eye on for a while. So he went to pick it up yesterday, and we had some nice dinner. We made some vegan duck pancakes, and we had the sparkling wine. And then afterwards I sat down and finished sewing. I'd done the whole thing, but I had to sew the zip in at the end. And I put it on, and I think it was probably the half bottle of fizzy wine, but I had a little cry. I was so proud of myself. I was like, I cannot believe I worked this out. Like, I cannot believe I worked out how to make this work. It was just such a nice moment. So yeah, I think it's a really, really fun construction, and I hope if you're interested, you sign up for the test forum. I got no idea how to gauge interest for this pattern. It's very different to things I've designed in the past, and it's also like, people want to be casting new things on right now, or would they rather wait? The good news is like I say, it's a long test period, and so if you wanted to wait and cast on in January, that would be still plenty of time, I think. So yeah, I have got, two things to mention. This is so cool. You pick up down here and like sew this extra bit on, so what you can't, I don't think you can really tell here, there's like a facing that you sew your zip into. But I've not blocked the facing. I blocked the whole sweater without blocking the facing, and so it's kind of making for a little bit of like lumpiness here. So I need to go and do that. I was so impatient to have it done. I wet blocked the whole thing, and then it took a while to dry because the flat's been cold, and it's been cold everywhere. And then I tried to steam block the facing, but I think it probably needed like a proper block. So maybe the zip coming off was a sign that I should take the zip out, steam block the face, wet block the facing, and then sew the zip back in, but we'll see. The zip sewing took me like 10 minutes, so it's not a disaster after cut it out. So yeah, that's the first thing. It's like a bit of it's interesting how much it opened up and changed. I think that was the reason I was so pleased when I put it on, because with this stitch, it's got so much definition that it opened up a lot with blocking. And so I've been trying this on, but I don't think I had a good idea of how it fit until, even with the zip, it was quite an open neckline. So even until like the zip was in, that was when I finally saw how it looked on. And that was really exciting. I am going to make more. I'm definitely going to knit myself one more. And I think I'm going to speak to a sample knitter about making a second or third version. The reason is I would love a neutral, like an off-white. I also would really like a bright colour, like a tomato orange red. I'm actually sitting with a game box right next to me because I was trying to get my tripod to the right size. This is a really good game, by the way. This is Cielo. But like that colour is the colour that I want. Like that orange red. Can you imagine that colour? Or cobalt blue. I think it would be perfect for spring. So if on the off chance you're watching and you happen to be a sample knitter based in the UK and you'd be interested in sample knitting me a version, please send me an email with your rates and your terms. My email's down below, and if not, I'm going to call it on Instagram and ask for any sample knitters to get in touch. So yeah, my Lanark sweater, I'm so proud of it. It's so comfy and so cozy. I think this might be the most wearable thing I've ever made. It's just easy. It's just so easy. I actually also did a tubular bind off on the cuff, and on the body I did the tubular bind off at knit night on Monday, and it was like the least sociable I've ever been at knit night because I was listening but I was looking for every stitch. So I'll be like, ha, ha, yeah, back to sewing. Oh yeah, sure, back to sewing. So it made me a very antisocial knit nighter, but I got the tubular bind off done. So yeah, I think that's everything to say about Lanark. I'm really pleased with it. I'm really frustrated that I just put the zip off, but I'm going to, the footage always takes a little while for it to import onto my laptop, and so whilst that's happening, I'm going to go and put the zip pull back on because I'm so annoyed at myself for doing it. And the alternative also was I just bought a zip that was too big, and that's why I cut it, so maybe I'll just buy myself a zip that's the right size. Cool, so that's all to say about this one. Ta-da! If you like the test knit, yeah, sign up down below by the 27th. And if you're a sample knitter and you like to sample knit for me, or you've got some free time in your sample knitting agenda, please drop me an email because I would love to have many versions of the sweater. Cool, so let me move on to my gift knit. So it's very close to Christmas and I have been gift knitting. I'm not doing a crazy amount of gift knits. I should make that clear. I'm doing 3 things. I did last year do a lot of gift knitting and I find it quite stressful. And so this year I've toned it down, 1 pair of socks and 2 pairs of accessories. So let me start with the socks. I have not woven in any of my ends, and one of them is a very big end. Maybe I should just break that off a little bit because they are, it looks a bit silly almost. Let me give it a trim. There we go. So the very first thing is a pair of Sunday socks by Petite. So this is the first one and this is the second one. I took this one off the blocker whilst it was still a bit damp to make sure this one had time to block, but it has resulted in this one being like a normal one and this one looking a bit sad and skinny. So I'll put this one back on the blocker. I have some wool wash, some Filcolana jasmine, and I've never used the jasmine one before. And I opened the bottle and I smelled it and I was like, ugh. I was like, it smells like an old person's house. Like it just felt really like floral, and I was like, oh no, this is horrible. But by this point I had to put it in the water. But after being in the water, it smells so good. Like it smells so soft and soapy instead of floral, so I'm a fan. So yeah, this is the Sunday sock by Petite. It is an iron weight, like 4 sock unit on 4mm needles, and they knit up really quickly, and so they make for a very good gift knit. And you might have, if you've been here for a long time and you've been watching me gift knit since last Christmas, I'll pop a picture here of some socks I made last year, and I made almost the same pair of socks and the recipient put a hole in them. I made them out of a non-sock yarn with the intention of him like wearing them in his slippers, but he liked how they looked in his boots, and so he wore them in his boots and he put a hole in them. But that was easy enough because I have just knit a pair this year in Novita, which is a sock yarn, and so he'll have the same pair of socks, but he can wear these in his boots without putting holes in them, hopefully. So that was a real relief. These I like making these socks, they're good fun. I find the leg to be a bit tedious, but once you've done that, it's really easy. It's a very long leg, hence why I find it a bit tedious, I think, because it's really quite lengthy. But once you've done that, like, it just flies. I do it on magic loop, and I cracked into on my second sock. I think I can see where I joined the new yarn. So I joined the second ball of yarn here. So I've got quite a lot left. My options are I could get a contrast ball of Novita and make myself a pair with like contrast heel toes and cuffs, or I could just make a shorter pair for myself to wear around the house. And I think if I took off like that much leg, I think that would probably be enough. Even, yeah, that much probably enough for my size. But I'm not going to make them anytime soon because I can't bother making socks at the moment. So those are my first gift knits, a pair of Sunday socks. It's a great pattern, I really love them. I made them last year. I will probably make them again in years to come because they're just knit really quickly. And the Novita yarn is a really good option for it. They're really good neutral colours. In fact, there's a huge palette of colours, I think, and it wears well, and everyone, I'm pretty sure it's Norwegian, and every time I mention it or post about it, I always have someone telling me how much they love this yarn, so that's always a good sign. Okay, next up I have a still damp set of finished objects, and I was working on these last week. I mentioned in the last video that I didn't know what I was going to take with me on our weekend down south. We went down for Friendsmas. I put some footage at the end actually because it was really lovely, and I took some good footage of us prepping the food and doing Secret Santa. And it's like a 4-hour train down to London from Edinburgh, 4 hours back. So I was taking some gift knits. Well, I was torn between taking this and taking some gift knits. I wanted to have this finished on time, but it was really bulky. So I took gift knits, and I'm really glad I did because I think otherwise I wouldn't have got them done. So they're still really quite wet. I'll have to put them on the radiator to make sure they're ready for tomorrow. So these are some penny gloves. So this is the first one, and this is the second one. Now I knit these at the intended gauge with a bit of a thicker yarn, so they are a bit denser. I used Filcolana Pernilla and Filcolana Alva. No, it's not Alva. Is it Alva? Is it Alva? The lace weight alpaca is what I use. Now I'm going to put my hands in these and hope it's not going to be too icky because they're wet. Oh, oh, this is not nice. Yuck, 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 yuck. Now I did these ones a regular length. I will say they're quite long on the arm, so they're a fast gift knit, but you could also just make them shorter and I think they would work quite well. But this is how they look. So I'm really happy with them. I found that before blocking, this bit really curled quite dramatically, and the same with the rest. So I pinned them out a little bit to make sure they didn't go too badly, like curl too much. I had a bit of a dilemma because I took these down and I was working on them, and one of my friends who's also a knitter was like, oh, I was thinking of making a pair of penny gloves, and I was like, I've got a pair, let me go get them. So I brought them out and she tried one on, and our other friend, and did not mean this in at all a negative way, was like, oh, it looks like you've got a cast on your arm. And it did, like it really, really did. It was just so, the way it was, like this was really heavily curled up, and it just, this is still a bit damp, and I think it's more white when it's not damp. It's now a bit oatmeal colour. I think when it's fully dry it will look white, and it does look a bit like a cast. And I was like, oh my god, can I give these? Like, I had a bit of a panic about them. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can gift them. But I like them much more now. The way this is lying a bit flatter, I think they look a lot more, a lot less like a medical, you know, like a cast is the word, right? Like in Scotland we call them a stookie. but you know, when like wrap your hand up and stuff, so it looked like one of those. But I think with blocking, they've evened out a little bit. And I really like this pattern. It's so fast in it. I am definitely going to make myself a pair. Maybe I'll take a pair with me actually. We're away for a couple of days and I'm still deciding what to take with me on our holidays. It's not that long to be honest, but maybe a pair of penny gloves for myself. I've got a ball of yarn for it as well. And I'll be taking these because my second gift pair are not ready, but they're not far from me done. So I'm making a second pair, and this time I'm using Drops Alpaca, which is so soft. 100% alpaca, and it's this beautiful like forest green colour. And the first one is finished, my ends are not woven in. But you will notice I've shortened the wrist by a fair bit. So I think this is like 12 and this is like 8 centimetres until you start the the thumb increases. So it's much shorter, but I think that's still fine. I also actually on this one decreased the amount, and the person I'm giving them to has got quite small hands, so I also decreased this bit here, like the size, the amount it goes up before it gets to the knuckles, which I don't know if I think I did it because I thought these ones are really long. I think I prefer these, but I'll do the second one the same, and then for my own version I think I'll make them as long as my first pair. So yeah, that is the first one. Just a little hand warmer, and it's definitely a bit too short I think, but they do have shorter hands than me. But I have reduced this, you can tell by about a centimetre, and I think it's a bit too short for my taste. And I'm on like I've started actually. Oh, this is real tangled. Oh god, why am I halfway through a row? Who is halfway through a row on a pair of gloves? Like, oh, these would be my like out and about knitting, so maybe I had to get off the bus quickly. I'm knitting these on Magic Loop Chowgu Fix interchangeables because my boyfriend had a set of 2.5mm Chowgus, red lace. Don't know how, don't know why, but I borrowed them. So, oh, was I meant to do an increase? I was meant to do an increase. Fine, I'll leave it over now. So yeah, I've just started the second one. Well, I'm quite the way through the second one. I've got to finish the thumb increases and then it kind of flies from there. So I don't know when. I took them out of me this morning with the hope I would get some done, and I did not get any done. But I will work on them when I'm editing this afternoon I think, and make some progress. I would like to get these a block actually. But I don't need to gift these until the 27th, so I've got a couple more days on these. But I think I will give them a block, even if just a steam block at my mum's house, and give them a bit of a pin out there. That might do the trick. But I really like this colour actually. I think they just look really, oh, there. I think it just adds a real interesting colour to it. And with this one, with a shorter cuff, I think a glove weighs 15 grams of fingering weight yarn. So I think it's a really good way to use up like 50-gram balls, or you made socks, you've got a little bit left over. It'd be a really good way to do that. The only thing that's tricky, of course, is that it's not like with toe-up socks, you just knit until you run out of yarn. You'd have to make sure you have enough yarn left to do the thumb and the top bit, but yeah. So yeah, so that's my gift knits. I am pretty pleased with these. I'm also pretty pleased that I'm not too stressed about it. Oh, I'm really sitting funny today. I'm sitting where I used to sit a lot to podcast, and then I've not sat here for a while. I still sit here all the time, like in life, but we have set up an extra computer screen. I've been playing Mario Kart in the evenings, and we both sit on this chair, and so the sort of screen is in the way of my comfort, so I don't feel like I'm very comfortable because I'm kind of like straddling the table because I can't fit it in. But that's okay. Now I'm just going. So better. Wow, the light really is fading fast. Okay, I have one project left to show, and then acquisitions. I'm really flying through these. I guess with lots of small things that happens. So last week I had a real rant about my Advent. I wasn't very happy, and honestly I think I was being a bit of a negative Nelly. I take it all back. it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So apologies for being so negative last week. I was just like, it wasn't turning out the way I wanted it to, but I got a lot of messages actually from people who were saying that their advents didn't work out the way they wanted them to, and it kind of put things in perspective for me because mine was not very expensive. It's a recycled advent and it was only £40, and it sounds like often, like more often than not, people seem to be quite often unhappy or like disappointed in their advent. And part of me is like, well, if I'm going to be disappointed, I'd rather be disappointed and spend £40 than disappointed and spend £180, which is, I think, the going rate for a lot of them. I'm trying to wind this yarn up and tuck it away, but it's not really working very well. So this is a recycled yarn advent from Alterknit Unierse, and they provide 10g mini skeins every single day, and they're made up of mixed fibres. And so I'm making a blanket with mine, and I've made quite a lot of progress. So I've only added 3 colours since last week, so I am not up to date, but the blanket is starting to sort of take shape and it's looking pretty heavy now. So, ta-da! So we started with the reds, then we went to this like purpley whites, and now we're into like the teal and the blue. So I've done, since last time I think I just joined this colour, and now I've done this teal blue, and now we're on to like a darker teal. And I'm using Woolyknit British wool in between held double, and then for these sections I'm holding a strand of Woolyknit and a strand of the colour. So the blanket is getting there. It's starting to look like a blanket. I still have a lot of knitting to go on this to make it the size I want, and I'm trying every time I'm now really having to like pull it over every time I change row, and it's just making me wonder how I'm going to cope when it's full size and I'm still going, because it's going to be heavy. Yeah, this is across the way. If I use the other side you can see how big it is. It's pretty big. It is 135 centimetres, and I'd like to get it to like 170 maybe lengthwise. I'd like it to be a bit longer than it is. I mean, I'd like it to be like 2 meters to be great, but I think that's probably a bit dramatic. I think it's 60 at the moment. So yeah, three sizes was what it is right now would be quite nice. That'd be 180, so that'd be pretty big. So let me talk about the colours I've got still to go, and then my plans coming up. So these are the colours I've opened this week. I've opened this morning's. It is not here. I don't know what I did with it. Or did I? Is it that way around? Oh yeah, maybe it's that way. So the next set of colours are they're very samey, but they're lovely. So this is them. So we're starting from this one, which has got like the same teal blues in them. And then this one I really love. It's got like barber pole and some purple. And then we're going into this one. It's got like a strand of silver. And then we've got like a pure navy, which is incredibly soft actually, this one. And then this morning I opened up this one here. And then I've only got one more to go. And that is the end of the advent. So it's definitely too small for the size that I aspire it's going to be. So that's another, what, 10 stripes? Well, double striped. So what I've got left is going to be, it's only about this much left, so. Like here. However, I dropped a message on Instagram to the shop, and I said, "Hi, I'm making your advent. I'm wondering, do you sell mini marled skeins?" And they said, "Not right now, but we will in January." So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get maybe another 10 in January, and then just keep working on it until it's the size I want. I have decided I quite like it. I was really annoyed last week with the white, but that's very much my own fault, just because, for context, I got like 4 days in a row that were white coloured, which of course doesn't work with my background colour. And I don't really know what colours to take it in next. It's going to go to like, today's was, oh maybe that wasn't today's. No, I don't think I brought today's, because I'm sure today's is more brown. I must have left it with the rest of the advent. So it's going towards like a brown colour, so I think it's going to get back kind of to this red. But I don't know, I'm thinking, I want to just say to them, like I'd like to extend, like could you recommend 10 colours that go after the ones we've finished at? And I'm thinking maybe like into the greens, or like go like yellow and orange. I think, I'm not really sure. But I think it looks good. I mean, it looks kind of wacky, but in a good way, like wacky in a fun way. and I've got no idea where my house is going to go. It does not match a single piece of anything we have. It doesn't match the bedding. It doesn't really match in here. So I don't know where I'm going to put this. I guess probably just this chair. Sorry, my hair is really bothering me today. Probably just somewhere on this chair, and it'll be a nice cozy blanket. It'll be the first blanket I'll have made as a knitter, and it's a lesson learned in Advents, I guess. Yeah. So I've been keeping up with this relatively, like, I'm not keeping up with this, but I've been doing relatively well on it, like trying to knit a couple of stripes a day. I think it's going to take me into January, but that's completely okay with that. And I will be taking this with us for the next couple of days. I'd like to just stay on top of it, catch up on my colours. It would be nice if in January I could order some new colours while still working on it, like not to put it down for too long. I did order some more Woolyknit because this is all I have left. It's less than 200 grams of a 500 gram cone. So I ordered some more. I ordered under 2 hanks, I think. And a hank is 200 grams. So I got 400 grams still. So really I could just keep going with this blanket until it's the size I like. There are lots of mistakes where I've especially dropped one of the 2 strands. You can see it like here. And here's another one. But it's okay. It's been a real lesson in like embracing what's coming and just rolling with it and seeing what happens. And it'll be interesting to see. I've got some more Advent stuff coming, but it'll be interesting. I don't really know how I feel about Advent for next year. There are some Advents, like there are some dyers as they reveal their colours this year. I think they're all amazing, and part of me thinks, oh god, I would love to do this, like to make something out of this next year. But they're so expensive. So we'll see how I feel about it. The thing is, the listings also go live really quickly, right? So I need to have a think about it pretty soon, but that's okay. So let me move on to acquisitions. I have quite a lot of acquisitions to show because I've not shown acquisitions in a while, I don't think. And there's been stuff arriving over the past like couple of weeks, and so I thought I'd show you all of them. It's sort of 3 sets of things, and they're all pretty exciting, and only some of them have plans. So on the topic of Advent, let me start there. So I have mentioned Charlotte, who is Nervus Fibre, a few times before. She is the face of the Care sweater. Her picture is the one that's the front picture on the listing on Ravelry, and she was one of my testers, and I've met her a couple of shows. She came to do the photo shoots obviously, and she has done this year not an Advent but a SADvent, which is a 16 skein Advent calendar that runs up to Blue Monday, which is the saddest, or known as being like the most depressing day of the year. 16 days. Yeah, so it goes to the 16th of January, and you open one every single day. And I was like right in the middle of like Advent woes, and I ordered this. It was, in my opinion, quite reasonably priced. I think a lot of the Advents were like I say, up to like 180, 200 pounds. This was 70 pounds, so it was still a splurge. And obviously it's fewer skeins. There are 16 rather than 24. But for me, it's a bit more of an affordable way to see if I like Advent. I love a lot of her colours. Like, I really like a lot of the things she does. And yeah, it just hit me right at the right time. So this is the beautiful box it came in. This is her amazing logo, actually. I really like it. And I'm going to show, like, nothing inside is open. It's all individually wrapped, but let me show you what the inside looks like. It came with some really cool art cards, like, of her logo. So there's this colour version. But my favourite one is this sort of, I guess it's almost like a bookmark with her logo on it. Isn't that amazing? And so they are all individually wrapped. Woo! Mini skeins. So I am really looking forward to this. It'll be a nice thing to do in January. We'll just close that. All the crinkling. And I love the idea of it. I also love that it's like it's more of an affordable version of like a full Advent. It's still, I think I checked and I think it's still 80 meters per mini skein. So it's still a lot of yardage. More than I would need for, say, a sweater. So I need to work out what to do with this sweater. I have options. I could what are my options? My options are there's a sweater that I can't remember her name. I want to call her Nicole, or is it Amy from Noble Character Crafts? Made, I think a few years ago, an Advent sweater where it's a round neck sweater, and she's put stripes of the Advent colours down the yoke, but just like one round stripes, and then she's put on the cuffs. That was my original plan, but now I don't know how I feel about that. So that is an option. The second option is I could make a round neck sweater. Like a round yoke, sorry. Like with yoking. I think that's how I'll probably do it. Or I could do a raglan, to be honest. I could do a sweater. I will need to work out what the approximate length of the sweater should be, and then my gauge, and then work out how many rows I should do for each colour, and that would look a bit like Stripes by Andrea Mowry, but with like with more colours in it. I could make a Friday tee by Petite Knit. There again, I have slightly too many colours, so I think I would increase the number of rows between my colour stripes. I'm thinking if I do something where I don't use all the skein up, I could then also make a shawl with the remainder, like I don't know, just a really simple shawl with the remainder of the yarn. So that's kind of where I'm feeling. It also means I could knit them up as they come out, and then I could reorder them and put them into like the closest thing to a fade or like a transition for the shawl. That could be kind of fun. So I don't know, I do like the idea of keeping up with it every day and knitting into it as it comes out. So I do want to have something in mind before I start. I also need to work out what background colour to use, if I'm going to use a contrast colour. I asked Charlotte, and she's making her own sample garment with the Advent or with SADvent, and she is using, I think she said she ordered Knitting for Olive, Dusty Moose and Nordic Beach, which is like a grey brown and a beige brown. So not quite like a natural. So I need to sort of, if that's the colours that she's going with, the contrast, I want to stick in that kind of colour scheme. And so I need to work out what to do for Advent. I thought this would be a great idea because I thought everyone else will have already knitted up the Advent project, and I can pick my favourite Advent project that I've seen someone else do and then copy it. Because why not? It is the greatest form of flattery. So I think I might wait and see. I guess people might start posting Advent things soon if they're wrapping up. But I feel like I've not seen very many Advent garments other than just like faded or striped sweaters. So yeah, so that's my SADvent. I'm excited. I think it's a fun thing to do. It was a bit of a splurge, but that's okay. But not quite as splurgy as a full Advent calendar. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. Okay, yeah, next thing is the Holst sale. Sorry, the Holst Black Friday sale was a few months ago, end of November, is that when Black Friday is? And I placed an order, and I think it's been a bit challenging for people in the UK to get their orders. People on Knit Night are having issues, and people have messaged me asking about it because they've also ordered, and I think a lot of the stuff from the UK is being stuck in customs. I got my package at the start of this week, and I, again, splurged a little bit. But that was November. Like, I bought it in November, so it's not the same. It's not the same splurge as my SADvent splurge because they were separate months. So I bought a couple of things. I bought about 3 sweater quantities of yarn. So let me show you them first. So the first thing I got is this. This is a cone of Supersoft in the colour, I think it's flannel grey. Yes, it's flannel grey. That is the first one. And my intention is to hold this. Let me open this up actually. With a strand of Titicaca, which is the alpaca, and I could either I could hold this double with a strand of this, or I could hold just this and this together. I think just this and this should get me around a DK weight. Holding this double and with this should get me closer to like a worsted weight. I've got 4 balls of the Titicaca. Titicaca is 100% alpaca, 400 meters per 50 grams. So I've got 1600 meters. So that should cover me for just about anything I want to do. And then basically just duplicated the whole thing with this cone, which is oatmeal, easy peasy. It's, again, the light is going here, but it's really beautifully flecked. And I also got some Titicaca to go with that. The Titicaca is a little bit of a warmer brown, like a warmer beige, and this is a bit of a cooler beige, but I think that'll be interesting. This colour is Sandstone. What's this colour actually? Oh, also flannel grey. And then the last thing is something that I feel like I don't see people knitting with very often, but I have knit with a couple of times now. I'll get one out again. Oh, I want to open the bag. Oh, it's all sealed up. How did you get through that? And this is Cielo by Holst, which is this fluffy base. It's a bit similar to like Camera Rose, Sneffnug, or a Drops. It's not such an obvious, I think it still is a chainette, but it's a more fluffy chainette, I think, than, you can't really see the core. I talked before about this yarn. It's super stretchy, which is kind of weird. It takes a bit of getting used to knit with. It is 42% alpaca, 42% fine merino, and 16% polyamide. And this is the colourway Sparrow. It's a bit more like, it's like a truffly brown, like a light truffle brown. And it is so soft. It is very, 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 very soft. So I've knit with this twice before. Once in a Badger and Bloom sweater, which I skipped the short rows on and doesn't fit me very well, and I don't wear very often, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. Second was a cardigan that is too small for me. So this is my third attempt at knitting something in this yarn. I've got 10 balls of this, which it's 125 meters, so 100, yeah, just 1,200 meters. And I think I'm going to make either a cardigan or like a big fluffy jumper. I think this will be my perfect like work from home cozy jumper, but I need to decide what to make. Part of me wants to just cast on because I know I'll knit it very quickly, but I can't really be bothered. I think I don't really want to cast it on right now. Like, I'm not in the mood to cast it on. Hopefully the mood will take me and I'll be ready to cast it on soon. I think it'll be a good option for, there's the Novice cardigan by Petite Knit. I've made one before in red and I really like it. There's also, I guess, the Novice Sweater Chunky. Is there a Novice Sweater Chunky edition? Does that exist? If that exists, I think this would also be a great option for it. But yeah, it's just so soft and so fluffy, and I do like this base, and I really would like something in this base which I will actually be able to wear. So that's my plan. I do find this kind of pricey when it's not on the sale. So I think it's normally like £6 a ball. I mean, it's not crazy pricey, but because there's only 125 meters, you have to get so many balls. Itchy nose. So I think it goes down to like £4.80 or something in the sale. So I got some, the last time I bought it was in, can it really be that long ago? The last time I bought it I think was in the Black Friday sale last year, which feels like an awful long time ago, but I guess it must have been. Huh. Okay, my last thing is an interesting one to share. So let me have a chat about designing. The Lanark Sweater, which I'm wearing, will be my last design of like winter, and definitely my plan was like, I'm not releasing anything else until, like, I don't really know what to do with summer designs. I've not really thought about it. I'm not really sure what my brain's at. Like, I just don't know. So it's kind of a question mark around summer stuff for me, but that's also okay. I'm just like, let it be. It's fine. So, oh, my camera just made a funny noise. It's fine. So yeah, that was my decision. Like, I'm gonna take a bit of a chill, but of course I get this off the needles, and immediately my brain is thinking about the next thing I want to make. It's ridiculous. It really, really is ridiculous. But so this is off, this is ready. But I'm gonna have a bit of a break. However, I've started thinking about next winter, because really, like, I might release a summer or a spring pattern, but I don't think I'll be releasing any more sweaters until autumn next year. Because this will come out at the end of February, and then we're kind of talking about spring already. So I just don't think I'll be in sweater place then. We'll see, maybe I will, but unless I don't really plan to. I also think I could do, like, I've got 2 test calls running right now. Pattern coming end of February, pattern coming end of January. So I think a little break would be good, and like maybe I'll look at something out in like April time, be something like pastels. I said pastels in a really sarcastic voice, and I'm aware I didn't come across very sarcastic, so please don't think I say pastels that way. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. However, currently there are a couple of submissions open for magazines, knitting magazines, and they run like really early, so the submissions are open for the September issues, and I'm going to think about maybe submitting something to a magazine. And I feel like designers never talk about this, and so I don't know if it's just not, do you just not do that? Am I breaking an unwritten code by saying I'm going to submit a design? I'm not sure. I think the thing is that I have no idea if I'll get it, so I could say I might submit something, but that could be really stupid because maybe I won't get the submission and then everyone's going to think I'm a bad designer. I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to submit something to a magazine and I'm very excited for it. The deadline is 5th of January, so I'm going to spend some time before I start doing some sketching, which is interesting because I am not a very good drawer. I also don't think that being able to sketch and being able to design garments are the same skill set. So it was a real learning curve to try and do some fashion sketches. They're not great still, but they look like clothes now at least, which helps. Anyway, so I'm just digress here. So yeah, I'm going to submit something to a magazine, and so I reached out to a yarn company and said, hey, I'd like to submit something. What are your thoughts on that? And would you, like, this is what I'm thinking of, would you possibly want to work with me to send some yarn? If it doesn't get submitted, if it doesn't get accepted for the magazine, so what happens is you submit a proposal. So you like send them a swatch, send them your inspiration, explain the item, it's like a garment, it can be an accessory, and say like, this is what I would like to make. And then they get back to you, I think like mid-January they get back to you, and if they're successful then they give you a deadline to send the final sample by and the final pattern by, which is like, I think late spring for the most part. If it's not, and then the pattern comes out in September, so there's a huge like lead time for magazines. If I don't get the magazine, I will continue to work on the sweater or this garment, and it will be out like early September as like a standalone pattern by me. So yeah, all to say, I've got something now to show you, but I'm not really going to be showing anything else about it until I know more, which yeah, that's just how it is. But the yarn is so beautiful that I want to share it with you, and I'm very excited. So the yarn company is someone I wanted to work with for forever because the colours are incredible. It's Sonder yarn, who are based out of Montreal. One of my best friends lives in Montreal, so that was exciting too. And it is, the colours are amazing. I was back and forth a little bit about the colours with them and setting the swatch. Like, I've done a swatch in a different yarn to show them what I was looking for, and like, it was amazing. So I'm going to show you these individually, but my daylight is going here, so I will also at the end put a picture on screen of the colours they sent me. This is their Haze base, which is 74% suri and 26% silk. I'm obsessed. Okay, let's start with the first one, which is Chateau. And I should preemptively warn that I have not done French since I was 14, so please don't, apologies in advance for my terrible pronunciation. So yes, firstly we have Chateau, and it is this like creamy, buttery white, like an off-white colour. Then we have Boreal, which is the most like rich, stunning green. Oh, come on, there we go. Oh, my light is making it look a little bit more yellow than it is. Like my kitchen light is reflecting, but it's a real like forest khaki green. Okay, which one next? Then we have Fen, which is like the mustard colour of your dreams. Oh, I'm really annoyed at myself for not doing this, filming this earlier so I could show you the true colours. And then we've got Opera, which is like the baby pink ballet tulle colour of delight. So that is the colour palette. I will hold it up, but I will also yeah, I will put a picture on screen. They took amazing pictures before they sent it and said, these are the colours that you've gone through, are you okay with this? And I said, yes please, 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 please. It arrived so fast. It arrived within like 4 or 5 days with DPD from Canada, which was amazing. It arrived on a Monday, today's Friday, and it was just the most like delightful, like it made me so happy. It was raining, it was a horrible rainy day, and this package came and it was my yarn, and I was like, oh my gosh. So it is now like in its own project bag, just chilling until I have some brain space. I think the Lanark was taking up a lot of brain space for me for a few days. But now that it's off the needles, we've got a couple of things at Christmas, and then I think between Christmas and New Year, I've got a couple of quiet days, and my plan is to get some of them skeined up and start working on the design. I am so excited. I know exactly what I want. I've got a swatch, which I'm not going to show you because I'm just keeping things mysterious. So I know how the fabric's going to look, and I'm so intrigued to see how these colours are together. But I'm very excited. So yeah, that's everything that's come into my life. I feel there's a lot of yarn there to show. So yeah, sorry, apologies that it's been so acquisition heavy, but it does feel like a few weeks have built up. I definitely need to work through some of the yarn I have. I have a lot of yarn right now. Biggest issue is just I don't have space for it, so I want to get churning out some stuff because I'd like to be wearing some of my beautiful yarn and not having it lying around. And I've got lots of ideas. I just need some more time in the day. Like I could do with not having to sleep, not having to work, and yeah, 24 hours a day of knitting, that would work. I'd get through my stash maybe a little bit faster. But hopefully over the Christmas break I have a bit of time to get through some stuff, get some needles cleared, and get excited about what comes next. So I think that's everything knitting wise. A little life update, everything's been really good. I'm in a really good place actually. I finished work on a bit of a high note. I've got a really clear direction for January. I'm very excited to go back to work in January, but I'm also very much looking forward to I've got almost 2 weeks off, and I think I need it. I started a new job at the beginning of October, and it has been very full on and very intense. I work for a hyper growth startup in an innovation team. So everything is just go, 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 go all the time, and always very busy, which I love, and it really challenges me, and it's an environment I really thrive in, but it's also been really full on. So I'm looking forward to a bit of a breather and a bit of time to like stop and recollect my ideas and my thoughts and put myself in order before going back and killing it in January at work, which should be really fun. I am in a good place with designing stuff. I'm feeling good to have the last winter design ready. Currently got some designs on my needles. I'm about to start my second sample of my Dorney sweater, my cable sweater, which again I'll pop a picture. I'm really excited to cap my second one. I actually cast it on, but I think I want to swatch. I should do it tonight actually, just to double check before I go knitting off willy-nilly. It's a different yarn, so I want to make sure that the swatch makes sense, and I also would like to see how the yarn behaves. It's quite a firm yarn, so I want to see how that softens up and how that is. And then yeah, today 23rd of December, so tomorrow we're going to my parents, and there will be a lot of us I think for Christmas. There will be my 4 siblings, my parents, and then Sam, my partner, and my brother's girlfriend as well, and we'll play lots of games and have lots of food, lots of presents. I've done a lot of shopping. I'm really excited to be giving my siblings and my parents their gift, and I'm excited to see what they've got for us. I just think it's always such a nice time of year when everyone's giving gifts. I just think it's so lovely. I get so excited to see everyone's face when they open what I've got them. And then I go to my dad's place, who lives over in Glasgow. I see my 2 brothers there, so lots of family visiting to do. And I'm hoping to actually give my grandmother the original sample of the Cargill cowl. She is the inspiration behind the Cargill, and the cowl, I'm not really wearing it very much just because I think it's so delicate that I don't want to touch it, but I think I wrap it up and give it to her. Hope she enjoys it. And yeah, then a couple of days between Christmas and New Year to hopefully not do very much. Should be good. It's been a very busy few months. We had a weekend down south. We were at Friendsmas. I said I popped some footage in. There were 11 of us for Friendsmas, and it was so much fun. Most of us stayed over together, and it was really impressive actually. We divided up the food. So there was ultimately a full vegan and a full meat roast. So a vegan Wellington, a beef Wellington, pigs and blankets, vegan pigs and blankets, 2 types of potatoes, 100 types of vegetables, dessert. Like there was so much. We had Bulgarian pastry. It was really, really fun. And so we spent the whole day cooking and drinking and like having wine and playing loads of ridiculous games. And as per usual, that friend group is really quite into like fun party games. And so last year we played Telestrations, which is a really fun like Pictionary kind of game. And we played it with them, and then I bought a version for my family for Christmas. And this year I played another really good game called Poetry for Neanderthals, which I have read about before and I was not that into, but we played it and it's a lot of fun. If anyone's looking for a party game for family over Christmas, I would recommend it. You get a word and you have to describe it without using more than one syllable. And if you use more than one syllable, like per word, so I went for a walk. I mean, I don't know what word that's describing, but that would work. And if you use 2 syllables, then you get smacked in the head. And it was lots of fun. So I would recommend that one, especially like people, after a few drinks, my words were not coming out properly. Found it really hard. So yeah, I popped some footage of that in of our last couple of weeks, and I will be back next week with a wrap up of everything I've knit in 2022, and I am so excited. So I will see you then. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful few days if you're celebrating Christmas. I hope you have a great couple of days if you're not celebrating, just enjoying the quiet and the festivities and the family time. And I'll be back with one more video before the end of the year. Thanks for watching.
My friend, I pray it will never end. Do you like to be here too? It's Christmas, and outside snow's glistening. It's just you and me tonight. I'll spend all this Christmas with you. Oh, it's such a charm, got you up in my arms. There's nobody at the door. You said I wish this will never be over. Darling, it's time for your present. Come over here. Now it is time to get out in the snow, lighting a light with you. Choirs will sing and the joy bells will ring. Nobody loves you as much as I do. It's a wonderful feeling from floor to the ceiling. It is that time of the year, drinking hot wine by the fire. Here on our own, we got nothing to fear. It's Christmas, and some kind of love, my friend. Pick up some candy canes and hang a wreath on your door. It's Christmas, and outside snow's glistening.